Welcome to St Osmund's Church. St Osmund's is to be found on London Road in Wilmorton. It's a Grade 2 listed building. That means it cannot be pulled down or removed. This is because it's now over 100 years old and forms part of the local heritage of our community. We start our tour here at the font. This is the way in to becoming a member of the church. The word font means fountain or water spout. Water is a symbol of the love of God being poured out for us. At baptisms like this one, we make someone a member of the church by pouring water over their heads 3 times. We pour water to represent the person moving from their old way of life to the new life in the church. Now we're looking up at the roof. You can see that it looks a little bit like an upside-down boat. That's because Christians think of the church as the Ark of Salvation. An ark, as you may know, is a large boat, and the word salvation means to save. So the Ark of Salvation is a place where people are saved, not from drowning, but from their bad ways. Let's go through the church towards the middle of the building. It's 33.5 metres long, 7.6 metres wide, and 18.3 metres high. Some people say it took 4 million bricks to build it, but I've never counted them. The church was built in 1904 and cost just over £5,000, a lot of money in those days. St Osmund's is popular for weddings and provides an attractive setting before, during and after the marriage service. As you can see, the centre aisle makes a good processional route for the bride as she comes into church and when the couple leave at the end of the service. This piece of furniture is known as the pulpit. Pulpit is another word for platform. It's used by the priest or minister to preach about God, the Bible and the Christian faith. In the days before sound systems, it was the best place for the preacher to be heard throughout the church. It has 4 symbols of the Gospel writers, Matthew, Mark, Luke and John, thought to have been carved out of wood by the first vicar. Now we're looking up again, this time at the rood beam. It might sound like a funny name, but it's another word for cross. You can see St Mary, the mother of Jesus, and St John standing on either side of the cross. Christians believe that although Jesus died on the cross, he also rose again. He lives on in those who follow him. This is why Christians believe that when we die, we go to be with God. Many people like to have their funeral in church. Here you can see a coffin with a beautiful wreath. Christians believe there's nothing to be afraid of about death because they have the promise of living forever with God. This is a reading desk from which the portions of the Bible appointed for a particular service are read during public worship. The Bible is the Christian holy book. It has a special place in the church because Christians believe that God speaks to them through its writings. This is our beautiful statue of Our Lady, St Mary, the Mother of Jesus. Christians give St Mary special honour in the church because we believe that by her obedience to God, she made it possible for God to be born in human flesh. That's why St Mary is sometimes known as the Mother of God, because she bore in her womb the divine and human Jesus. She was the God-bearer. Now we're going up the chancel steps and through the chancel screen, the wrought iron fencing and gates, and into the chancel. Here you find the choir stalls, the place where the choir sits, although we don't have a choir at the present time. Up above the chancel is the organ, a musical instrument used to accompany the singing in church. This organ has many, many pipes. It makes a good sound. The sanctuary, as its name implies, is the most special part of the church. Here stands the high altar. The series of steps was intended to symbolise going up to heaven. Although Christians believe that God is present everywhere, there is an understanding that God is especially present during Christian worship and particularly when the bread and wine are consecrated. Many centuries ago, criminals could claim sanctuary and avoid capture by coming in to the sanctuary of a church. Sanctuary means safety. The high altar is the special table at which the priest says the prayer that consecrates bread and wine to be the body and blood of Christ. It's only ever used for this special prayer. The prayer is called the Eucharistic prayer from the Greek word for thank you. The central part of the prayer includes the words of Jesus at the Last Supper, "Do this in remembrance of me." Here you can see a carving attempting to portray that first Last Supper that Jesus had with his disciples. Behind and above the high altar is the reredos, a shelf for the candles, and above that our superb Christ in Majesty carving. It was painted by a former vicar. The stone surround is made from Chellaston alabaster from a now extinct local quarry. Now we can go down from the sanctuary into the Lady Chapel. This chapel is dedicated, named after St Mary. It's decorated in blue, the traditional colour associated with St Mary. It has its own altar because the main service celebrated here is the Eucharist. This chapel is used for weekday services when smaller numbers are present. It's very cosy in winter when it would be very expensive to heat the main church. This chapel has some excellent brick arcading in the roof. St Osmund's Church is fortunate to have a very unusual set of Stations of the Cross. This series of 14 plaster of Paris panels depicts the final journey of Jesus from his trial to his crucifixion. It is used during the season of Lent. This is the period of 6 weeks before Easter when the Christian Church reflects and meditates on the suffering and death of Jesus. Usually on Friday evenings, the priest leads the congregation from station to station, walking the way of the cross. This is a Church of England church, but in what's sometimes called the Anglo-Catholic tradition. As you can see from this recording of a special service known as Candlemas, we use incense and wear special clothes called vestments. The colour of the vestments changes depending on whether it's Easter, Christmas or Lent, some of the special seasons of the church's year. Thank you. Dear friends, 40 days ago... Here you can see a service taking place at the nave altar. This is a portable altar used to bring the altar and the people closer together for worship. It also makes it much easier for wheelchair users to take a full part in the service. Obey his command. Grant that by the power of your Holy Spirit, these gifts of bread and wine may be to us his body and his blood, who, in the same night that he was betrayed, took bread and praise God. Receiving Holy Communion is the high point of the main Christian act of worship, the Eucharist, or Thanksgiving. By receiving the bread and wine, consecrated to be the body and blood of Christ, Christians believe they share in the life of Christ and receive from him the grace and strength to follow his teachings.
To your glory, may have the darkness of our souls dispelled, so be led in the path of goodness, and come to the light that shines forever. Amen.
We hope you've enjoyed this tour of our magnificent church. We hope that you will want to visit us and see for yourself some of its striking features. When you come, there's a detailed guidebook available with coloured illustrations and a history of Wilmorton. Many of our visitors like to say a prayer while they're here, or light a candle in memory of someone who has died, or to pray for someone who is sick or ill. We look forward to welcoming you soon.